Hello, ChangeNOW, and welcome to these 3 inspiring days. I'm Jimena Morales-Velasco, and I'm honored to be here with you right now. I have a question for you. Do you remember the last time you disobeyed? Just think about it. I think we have all experienced that kind of move that makes us do things in a different way. You, entrepreneurs, activists, CEOs, scientists, mothers, fathers, politicians, sustainability leaders. At some point in our lives, we have said, no, I'm not doing it that way, but my way. It is usually out of personal interests, fear, pride, so many reasons. And we know that disobedience can sometimes lead to chaos, but some others, sometimes, it comes out of a hunch, a conviction, the conviction to do it the right way. It comes out of altruism, generosity, care, love for nature. It becomes a creative disobedience. The woman we're about to welcome is a pure example of selfless disobedience for Earth, for justice, for freedom, and for the well-being of all humans. She has dedicated her life from her very early years to science. She's a doctor in quantum physics. To the defense of nature, she has fought very hard to protect soils and to protect the very origin of natural food, seeds. And for justice, women, peasants, all over the world look up to her because she has given wings to those whose rights have been flouted, and because she's a pioneer in action for nature. She was expected to be here in person because of administrative reasons related to visas and embassies. She cannot be here with us, but she is joining us right now directly from India. The good thing is that at the end of this opening interview, we will invite you to participate with your own questions in a short Q&A. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Vandana Shiva. Dr. Vandana Shiva, it's a great honor to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you. Greetings from India.
As I said before, you've dedicated your life to stand up for what's right in terms of food security, soil health, among other issues, even when it has meant resisting the law. One conviction has guided you all along, and it has been inspired by the Gandhian principle of the force of truth, Satyagraha. You will pronounce it better than I do. Please tell us about it.
I'm, of course, a child of a free India, and we became free through our independence movement. We were a British colony, but 80% of the world was colonized by the British. And among the very many instruments that Gandhi mobilized again, and he said it very honestly, I did not invent these instruments. I just found how societies stay democratic and free. And for him, one of the most important principles was that unjust law, which takes away the foundational freedoms of being human, of being alive on this beautiful, generous planet, that those have to be disobeyed. They cannot be cooperated with, because they mean the end of life and the end of freedom. He first practiced this when, in South Africa, they were creating a new system of dividing people by race. The first attempt was made on Indians. And the word later created for the separation with blacks was apartheid, separateness. But we are one humanity knitted in both our earthiness and our humanness. And the Satyagraha that lasted from 1906 to 1911 in South Africa was a call that said, we are all human beings. You will not treat us as less. You will not give us registration licenses to show at any time when a policeman approaches us. We are not illegal. We are legal citizens of this land. And when he came back to India in 1915, among the key satyagrahas was the salt satyagraha, where the British wanted to monopolize salt. And he marched to the beach, picked up the salt from the sea, and said, nature gives it for free. We need it for our survival. We will continue to make salt. We will not obey your laws. And so, when in the late 80s and 90s, some corporations thought they could declare that they were now the creators of life, they said at a meeting, actually it was in France, it was 1987, I'd been invited for a meeting on a new biotechnologies, and they said that now onwards, we have to redefine life as our invention. So that we can monopolize the seed, we have to make laws to forbid farmers from saving seeds. And I said, but you don't invent the seed. You might put a gene into it, but putting furniture into a building doesn't make you the architect and the landowner. And GMO cannot be interpreted as God move over. We will now be interpreted as creators, and we will take rents from the peasants, and we will push them into poverty and create a monopoly on seed, the very basis of life, the source of life. And that's the day I decided I would save seeds. And I also decided that I would first work with my government and parliament to ensure that our laws recognize that we are part of an earth family. And our law on patents says, Article 3J, plants, animals, and seeds are not human inventions. Therefore, they cannot be patented. Another law recognizing that 99.9% of the breeding has been done by farmers. And then the corporations manipulated to uniformity, put a toxic gene of Roundup resistance or Bt toxin. That is not creating the seed. The farmers' rights must be recognized. So we wrote a law on farmers' rights. But I took the pledge that even if we had not succeeded, we would not obey, because saving seeds is our duty, sharing seeds is our duty, and the highest ecological duty of continuing life on Earth is the higher duty than obeying a crude law written by 5 corporations to make money out of monopoly on seeds. And that's why obeying the higher law and disobeying the law of greed, the law of injustice, the law of violence, is a human duty.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva. Speaking about law, we are at a turning point in Europe as we are trying to shift into new models of production, of consumption, with new rules and regulations voted, sometimes applied and cheered, whether sometimes still rejected by the civil society, whether it's the Green Deal or the Common Agricultural Policy. What makes for you a good policy? What makes a good law at this crucial moment for the planet?
I think there are 3 basic criteria for any law to be good, particularly a law that's supposed to heal the earth and regenerate her ecological processes. The first is it has to be a law made according to the laws of the earth. And these laws are known. Ecological laws are known. The nutritional cycle, the hydrological cycle, the carbon cycle, these are all established science. We have to just follow them. The second principle, of course, when it comes to people, is people have to participate. You cannot make laws without people's participation. Because even with the best intention, they end up really being dictatorial. And they will be rejected. But the third most important principle is look around and see. I mean, here you are gathered in Change Now. Examples from around the world. I have practiced now for 50 years ecological sustainability, and for 40 years a sustainable, just, biodiverse agriculture that produces more food, regenerates the earth, and rewards the farmer. So these examples are there. Look at those examples. Don't turn your blind eye to practicing systems that work for the earth, work for the farmer, work for the consumer. And in fact, I've just done a book about exactly the future you've asked, and you all will have it in a few months, about how do we make a transition for more social justice, because sadly the age of oil was the age of the beginning of huge inequality, the age of the robber barons, the 1930s, the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, all of that together. And it's in a way, we are seeing a similar situation right now. So we need to basically look at what does the earth need, what do human beings need, what is the least hurtful, harmful way to fulfill human needs while we regenerate the earth. And the science is there, the practice is there, the law must follow that.
Amazing, thank you. I have to ask this question. Forests are one of the sources of your long-life activism. Do we still have Dr. Shiva?
I'm here.
Okay. Sorry, cannot see you. But I'll ask the question. Forests are one of the sources of your long-life activism. Women have been a channel from which strength and wisdom have come from, you've said. I'd like us to hear a little about the Chipko movement that you've supported so much, because even if it's been years since their main victories took place, I feel like we keep needing Chipkos in every forested corner of the world. How is ecofeminism the driving force of change?
In a way, this question is related to the earlier two questions. Because Chipko, which means to hug, was an action which was, at one level, a civil disobedience against a law and a forest practice that treated forests as timber mines for profits and revenues. And the logging of these forests, fragile forests in the Himalaya, our Himalayas are steep, we get the monsoon, the full thrust of the monsoon as the rainfall is deposited. And without the forest, the only protection, without the forest was leading to landslides, floods in one season, droughts in another season. And it was the women who understood what was happening, because in early 1970s, there was a terrible disaster called the Alaknanda disaster, when after a logging of a forest, that entire mountain collapsed, and villages were washed away, bridges were washed away. So the next time the people came to log a mountain forest, the women stopped it. And they said, we are going to hug the trees. They never really actually had to hug the trees, because they would declare in hundreds, they would come and camp in the forests. And they said, these forests are our mothers. These forests are giving us water and soil and pure air. They made a beautiful action. I must share this with you because it's so inspiring for me. Women came out with lanterns during the daytime to the forest that was marked to be logged. And of course, police was there, the administration was there, basically to arrest them, but also to say, you stupid women, can't you see the sun is out? Why are you bringing lanterns out during the day? And they said, the lanterns are not for the sun. The lanterns are for you, because you're blind to the gifts of the forest. You think these are just mines of profits, timber, revenue. But from these forests, we get our drinking water. From the roots of the oak, we quench our thirst. from these forests and their roots, the soil is held together, preventing landslides. And most importantly, they said they give us pure air. Our breath comes from the trees, from the forests. And you want to destroy them? We will not let you destroy them. We love these forests, they are our home, and we're going to hug them. And for me, the combination of a resistance and civil disobedience against an economy of greed and extraction with the highest act of love and embrace. That became my inspiration for life. So I've embraced the seed, I've embraced rivers, I've embraced people when they are being crushed and marginalized. And today I would give a call to all of you. We need custodians everywhere. The custodians in the mountains were the women whose farming was related to the forests. The custodians of the land, agriculture, means the culture of the land, the care for the land. We need custodians for the land. And my research and my work over these 40 years has shown that small farms produce more, biodiverse farms produce more, women farmers, because they have to produce more with less biodiversity, with more biodiversity, but on less land. And the spirit of working with the earth, of caring for the earth, of nourishing the earth, that is true agriculture, that is true earth keeping. And at this point where we are at a watershed, where we can't even define for ourselves, who are we? We've forgotten we are part of the earth. We were made to think that the earth has to be subjugated, nature has to be subjugated. We are superior through an anthropocentric arrogance. And ecofeminism really is a huge, deep correction. It gets rid of the anthropocentrism. We are part of the earth, we are part of an earth family, and women and men are not unequal, and the earth is not an object to be exploited. More importantly, through these movements, we realize that our highest vocation now, highest change has to be a change from extraction, domination, monopoly, ownership to love, care, sharing the gifts of the earth. And my experience, my research, my practice has shown me over these years that the more we care and the more we share, the more we have. The more we grab, the less there is for most. A few people get a lot. But what are the billionaires going to do with all this? Trillions of dollars of money. And taking away the food and the seed and the land and the water. So we need to regenerate the countryside with more and more small farmers. And I know so many young people want to farm. They want to be able to go and take care of the land. They want to be actually the physicians, both of the land and people, because we know now that the roots of disease come from a bad food system. The same system that is giving us 50% of the greenhouse gases is giving us 75% of the chronic diseases. And careful farming, care for the soil, care for the biodiversity is where we get the nourishing food, rich in nutrition, not nutritionally empty toxic commodities, that then nourish our body. And our gut microbiome is mirrored by the soil microbiome. We cannot violate this law. The more we do it, the sicker the earth gets, the sicker we become. And the real change then has to be this alienation from the earth and earth laws. The change has to be from limitless greed and limitless growth to growth within the laws and limits that the earth has set for us.
Thank you. This is why you inspire us.